Hi, my name is Mikaela Rone, and I'm doing my public health final presentation on obesity amongst Hawaii's youth. So, the reason why I chose this community health issue is because in Hawaii, 15.5% of youths 10 to 17 are obese, 11% of children are food insecure, only 17.1% of high school students are physically active 60 minutes per day, and 1/3 of hospitalized youth are obese. According to the Family Health Services Division of Child and Adolescent Health, experts believe that childhood obesity could lead to the first generation of Americans to be sicker and die younger than their parents. So just looking at this last sentence alone, I think it's really important that as an intervention, we find ways to decrease childhood obesity and come up with solutions for this problem. So the drivers of health diagram. So right here we could see the community health issue, which is youth obesity. Then for the primary determinant, we could see healthy eating and physical activity. And then for the secondary determinant, number 1, we could see food insecurities. Number 2, lower fruit/vegetable consumption. Number 3, sedentary lifestyle, which basically means not moving around as much, so not exercising. And then number 4, community, peer, family influence. So my proposed intervention. Because of how prevalent obesity is amongst youth in Hawaii, I believe it is important to address this community health issue through interventions such as after-school workout programs, classes that promote education around nutrition and fitness, and the priority population is elementary youth, but families are welcome to join. The reason why the priority population is youth is because, well, first of all, what I've already mentioned about how susceptible they are, as well as they are the upstream, so we'll have more benefits, preventative health, but adult obesity comes with more downstream health impacts. So they are welcome to join in on this program, but they're not we're not prioritizing them. So my SMART objective is beginning fall 2022 school year, after-school classes will be held every Tuesday and Thursday to educate youth on the importance of nutrition and promote health through group/family workouts. The intervention will conclude at the end of spring semester 2023. So breaking down my SMART objective, we could see specific, the program will begin fall 2022. Measurable, rather than measuring how much weight kids are losing, we will be measuring on attendance as well as trends of attendance. So what that means is we're looking at how attendance ebbs and flows, and if towards the end we notice that no one's showing up, that obviously means something, so we're going to look into that. So that's how we're kind of measuring how well this intervention is going. Actionable, this can be realistically achievable through having volunteers teach courses on nutrition and having after-school workout sessions that are easily accessible. Realistic, obesity is a very serious health issue and should be taken seriously. This program will increase in how tough workouts are, but will include different levels so it's achievable for all. So not everyone obviously is going to be at the same capacity to do certain workouts, so therefore there will be different levels of workouts, which makes this intervention very inclusive. And then time bound. The objective will be met by the end of spring semester 2023, as I've previously mentioned. Stakeholders. So the two stakeholders would be voluntary/community sector and then private sector. So the voluntary/community sector will be helping teach the classes on nutrition. So these volunteers would include nutrition professors and nutritionalists or other people from that type of background. And then with workouts, we'll be using volunteers like coaches, parental coaches or teachers, PE teachers, and etc. They can volunteer their time. As for the private sector, we would want to reach out to local businesses and like farmers markets to provide healthy and organic food. So to teach kids about the nutritional benefits of eating organically and eating locally grown sourced food, especially in Hawaii, which is really important to not only eat local for health benefits, but also like economic benefits. So it would be important to teach this in this setting specifically. So behavior change theory. So I am using the health belief model. The health belief model can be an important tool because it explains and predicts human health behaviors. We can use this model to explain the adoption of health-promoting behaviors. The 6 constructs include perceived susceptibility, perceived severity, perceived benefits, perceived barriers, cue to action, and self-efficacy. So our main goal of this intervention is to get children to self-efficacy, which means they have the knowledge to eat right, they have the knowledge to work out, they have the skills. So that's self-efficacy, being able to do it on your own. We, in this intervention, looking at like the first 4, those are going to be like in our pre-planning, like understanding what this age group is like susceptible to, or how they look at nutrition and health and how they look at the benefits and barriers. They're really young, so it would be kind of different, but just seeing like where they think that they should be like eating or what they should be eating. And this intervention is like the cue to action. Program planning models, specifically the generalized model. So the generalized model will be used to help represent and describe the steps and phases of the planning process. So pre-planning. This is where I will assemble a team and work on the principles of trustworthiness. Accessing needs, collecting and analyzing data about the youth obesity problem in Hawaii and setting a priority population, which I've already done, which is the youth, specifically elementary youth. Setting goals and objectives. This intervention will provide nutritional education to the youth of Hawaii as well as getting them active. Developing interventions. Goals will be achieved through after-school nutritional classes as well as after-school workout/activity program. Implementing interventions. Putting intervention into action every Tuesday and Thursday throughout the 2022 to 2023 school year. And then evaluating results. Results will be evaluated off of engagement as well as external evaluation. So not only will we be looking at the engagement of this intervention, we will also be having an external evaluation done to see how our program went without the bias of having an internal evaluation. So yes. Evaluating my intervention. So looking at the logic model, the inputs would be volunteers, training, which is like human resources, funding sources, equipment, community resources, like space. For in this case, we'll be using schools. Interventions, obesity prevention and healthy weight program. This program focuses on health programs for children, after-school health programs, nutritional classes, maybe even fundraisers, assemblies. And another thing that would be really interesting to get into would be to advocate for bills that lower food insecurity, because as much as you can teach a child about the nutritional benefits of eating organic and locally sourced food, as I mentioned earlier, there's a huge percentage of children that are food insecure. So because of this, they don't have the means to do to like buy organic and buy expensive food like this. So having policy that will allow them to have access to healthier food groups would be really amazing. As for outputs, it would be in-service trainings, curriculum, events, after-school health programs, weekly family exercises, special events, i.e. like color runs, jogathons, things to get like students excited to work out and be healthy. Short and long-term outcomes. In 1 to 3 years, we would like to see lower rates of obesity in children, healthier and nutritionally wiser, changes in awareness. After 4 to 6 years, we would like to see less weight-related health issues, risk reduction, still lower obesity rate, changes in behavior, more people being aware of the importance of health and weight. And as for impact, what we would like to see change in 7 to 10 years would be risk reduction, quality of life improved, healthier families, changes in prevention of health status, such as high blood pressure, blood sugar, diabetes, and heart issues. So the measures of evaluation, right here you could see, like, what's really important is valid and reliable data. So using quantitative and qualitative methods are very crucial. So for qualitative methods, these will be used to explain parts of logic models such as community resources, curriculum that the community feels should be addressed, and in-depth interviews with children and their families to evaluate the effectiveness of the program. As for for quantitative, it will be used to measure how many volunteers, program demographic, funding, and numerical outcomes such as how many people attended the program overall and trends of engagement. How I will collect data. Through a simple random sample. So using a simple random sample to collect data will increase reliability of data as well as remove bias. This will allow me to get a sample where we can understand how different ethnic groups, ages, and incomes affected the results of the program. What do I anticipate as success? Student engagement is like the main thing that I anticipate as success. For this program, I'm not rating success off of how much weight each child lost. Instead, success would look like having many students present throughout the entirety of the intervention, thus getting them to be continuously active as well as learning about nutrition thoroughly. I will know if I am successful if more children have the knowledge to continue their healthy journeys and demonstrate self-efficacy. As I mentioned earlier, self-efficacy is like the main goal. And 2 principles of trustworthiness that I think are important to address for this intervention is it doesn't start or end with a community advisory board. This is important within the intervention because if we are to use an external evaluator to evaluate our results, the evaluation would provide more of an objective view of the program. Therefore, we will be able to see how inclusive the program has been. And then the other principle of trustworthiness that I find important is diversity is more than skin deep. It is important that this intervention is mindful of all differences and has volunteers and team members that are educated not only for specific people, but for everyone participating in the intervention. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation and understanding my intervention. I hope this problem gets addressed in the near future, and yeah, thank you so much for listening.